Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Metro Hall for this very important announcement, and probably historic announcement as well, to have all of us here together working in collaboration on a matter of such importance to our community and to our Commonwealth. Attorney General Coleman is going to be providing details on today's announcement in a moment. But first, I want to thank the Attorney General, and I want to thank all of the other elected leaders and community leaders, appointed leaders that you'll be hearing from today. Each one of us who you're hearing from today has a different role. We come from different backgrounds. But what brings us all together is our unified commitment to reducing violent crime in Louisville. This is a top priority for our city. The numbers of shootings and homicides that we've seen over the last few years is simply unacceptable. And as a community, we all have to do more. And we are. And that's why today is so important. We're going to talk about some of the additional steps that we are collectively working on today. We're working with urgency because lives are at stake. And at the same time, we all know that there's no one cause for our gun violence crisis, nor is there one solution. But one thing that we do know is that our work to reduce violent crime will only succeed through communication and collaboration. Last December, even before he took office, Attorney General Coleman and I had conversations about the ways that we might work together to reduce crime in our city. Attorney General Coleman has been an outstanding partner to the city of Louisville. And I particularly want to thank him for being a champion for Group Violence Intervention, or GVI. This is a program where we work with people who are on a dangerous path, the kind of path that often leads to violent crime, incarceration, and tragedy. And GVI lays out a choice in front of these individuals. Either change the direction of your life, or will help you find a new path with education, training, and more. We know that a significant amount of gun violence in Louisville is directly attributable to gang violence, violent cycles of retribution. And GVI is one important tool to help disrupt these dangerous group dynamics. Attorney General Coleman helped establish GVI in Louisville when he was the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Kentucky. He's still involved with it today. He's helped us strengthen the program. And alongside with Chief Humphrey, Deputy Mayor James, myself, and others, we are going to continue to strengthen GVI in the months and years ahead to ensure that we get the results that we know we can get. And that's in large part thanks to Attorney General Coleman's leadership and encouragement. He and I also share a belief that prevention is a crucial part of the work to reduce violent crime. And so towards that end, our administration is doing many things to work to prevent violent crime before it even happens. Chief Humphrey right now is leading the way, working to recruit 200 new police officers that reflect the diversity of our community. We're investing in more technology, equipment, and training for our police officers, implementing the new strategies that Chief Humphrey has laid out a couple of weeks ago. And at the same time, our administration is working on longer-term strategies to address the root causes of crime, including the lack of educational and economic opportunities. And we're doing that by working together with many agencies across our city and state, across party lines, with people and organizations throughout our entire community. We all want to prevent as many crimes as possible from happening. But to the people who make the choice to commit violent crimes, we have one message that we're reiterating today. If you pull that trigger, we will pull you off the streets and put you away for as long as we possibly can so that you do not destroy other people's lives. That's what we're focused on today. So to tell you more about this important next step that we are taking together in partnership, it's my honor to introduce the 52nd Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, Russell Coleman.
Mayor, thank you. Thank you for those incredibly kind words, and thank you for being the epitome of zealous collaboration. And today we're announcing a new collaboration between the Attorney General's office, the Jefferson Commonwealth Attorney's Office, with the support of this city's leadership, as you see on my left and on my right, to tackle violent crime together. Together, we've established what will be known as the Violent Crime Reduction Team within the Kentucky Attorney General's office to do just that. Historically, the Office of the Kentucky Attorney General has not had an active role in law enforcement here in Jefferson County. That ends now. We know that violence happening here in Louisville has rippling effects across our Commonwealth. When you talk to leaders from the Purchase to the mountains, sheriffs, judges, police chiefs, detectives, unfortunately, so much of the crime they see across our Commonwealth has a nexus here in Jefferson County. So we have to tackle it here with responsibility as the chief law enforcement officer of this Commonwealth. With the responsibility to serve 120 counties, our office has to be present here as good partners. To keep all Kentucky families safe, we have to start right here in Jefferson County. Now, we're not doing that alone. I think the significance of this event is the mayor, the chief. No one is standing at this podium alone. Look at the unique partnership on my left and on my right. I can tell you, the way our system is set up in this Commonwealth, it sounds nice, that title of Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the Commonwealth. It's in statute, it is in our Constitution, but I can't walk into circuit court here in Jefferson County. I can't prosecute cases without the authority and the invitation of your fantastic Commonwealth's attorney. That's the way our system is set up. And I will tell you, the first text the morning after I won, the morning after I was elected Attorney General, my very first text as AG-elect was to your Commonwealth's attorney to try to start building a relationship to make this happen. And my hat is off to her. She has been the epitome again, just like our mayor, an open door, the epitome of zealous collaboration, that concept that hopefully typifies the culture we're building within the Attorney General's office, tearing down silos, zealous collaboration. There has been no better partner to us than your Commonwealth's attorney, Ms. Weathers. You know, early this year, our offices signed an agreement that you'll hear about in a moment, an MOU that allows prosecutors with the Kentucky Attorney General's office to be present here and engaged here in Louisville. Now, you'll see our prosecutors handling cases including non-fatal shootings. And why is that important? Non-fatal shootings, we have endured in Louisville to date this year 163 non-fatal shootings. We focus on that top line number of homicides, and we should. We've lost 131 Louisvillians this year. We focus on that number, but non-fatal shootings, those are lives destroyed. Those are wheelchairs and colostomy bags. Those are those are paralysis. That's the loss of an income. So we'll be focused, our office will be focused on non-fatal shootings and assisting LMPD. We'll be focused on convicted felons in possession of a firearm, and you're going to hear more from the chief. That's the old blue-collar felon in possession. That's what you've seen me at podiums talking about in a different role, but that's what our folks are going to be focused on with a laser beam, non-fatal shootings, and working on the felon in possession, but also supporting GVI, or group violence intervention. And I want to make a very stern point in terms of GVI. We have started to roll out over the last couple of years GVI. We have engaged. There has been a lot of fantastic outreach by LMPD and some of those sitting in this audience today. What makes GVI work is enforcement. What makes GVI work is that when those pull the trigger, there is deterrence, or deterrence from even going down that road. There is an outcome when the trigger is pulled. So our focus will be enforcement. Our focus will be sending those that pull the trigger to federal or state prison. We're not present here today as our United States Attorney here in the Western District, but he is also an active partner. We'll be working very aggressively with our federal partners in trying to get the best outcome in incapacitating these offenders, removing them from the community as long as possible. And also, our prosecutors will be supporting LMPD in their cases in the prohibited Firearms Possessor Program. It's a mouthful, PFP, but pretty powerful. You'll hear the chief talking about that. You've seen that in his public safety plan. Now, to do this right, we needed to expand our team and create a permanent presence of the Attorney General's office here in Louisville, but not somewhere in the East End. A permanent presence, bless you, right here in downtown Louisville. We hired an initial 2 very experienced prosecutors and an experienced detective who were spearheading the violent crime reduction team working with Ms. Weathers and LMPD. They'll be led, I'd like for him to stand up as I call his name, they'll be led by Assistant Attorney General in Charge, Crit Cunningham. Now, Crit is a incredibly experienced felony prosecutor, both in the county attorney's office here in Jefferson County, but also from Ms. Weathers' office. This is someone that knows the inside of a courtroom, and his hire in running the office, I hope, sets the message that we will be trying these cases to get a better outcome. We're not going to be afraid to take these matters to trial. So I speak directly to offenders and thank you, Crit, and the defense bar. We're going to be taking these cases to trial, taking them as far as possible to get the best outcome for Louisville. Joining him will be Hamad Khan. Grateful to have Hamad join us from the county attorney's office here in Jefferson County, someone with a real fire in the belly to have an impact here in Louisville. Thank you. And also Detective Rob Jones, who's probably loath to stand up, but he's hiding in the back. Detective Jones spent a career as a special agent with the United States Secret Service and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. This is someone that comes from the federal system, but has deep relationships here in Louisville. Started as an officer right here in Jefferson County as well. And I want to emphasize, this is a beachhead. This is an initial announcement of our staff. This team will be fully supported by the Attorney General's Special Prosecutions Unit in Frankfort. This is not 2 prosecutors and a detective. This is 2 prosecutors and a detective supported by the infrastructure of the Attorney General's office. But it was very important that we had prosecutors and investigators living and working right here in Jefferson County that knew Louisville, that were from Louisville, so that we weren't carpetbagging in from Frankfort. We'll be supporting them robustly from Frankfort, though. I'll close by stating the obvious. That we might look like an odd group. Mayor Greenberg, Mr. Nicholson, these are 2 that were integral to this, not only in the mayor's ultimate leadership of LMPD and supporting the partnership, but these gentlemen are our landlords. And so, of course, I need to say nice things. These gentlemen are truly our landlords in allowing us space right here at 514, right here around the corner, downtown, to allow us to be fully engaged. That's partnership. That's partnership and that's skin in the game. And they have demonstrated that not only by words from a podium. You hear a lot of those. They've demonstrated that by substance and by being good partners and zealously collaborating. Now, this is an odd, strange bedfellows group. The mayor, Mr. Nicholson, we may support different candidates in November. We may have different letters behind our name in parentheses. But that 163 lying in the University of Louisville's emergency department, or those 131 Louisvillians that we've lost this year, they don't care about R's and D's. And Christian Gwynn, don't know if his family has an R or a D. Trinity Randolph, dad, DeQuante Hobbs, could go on and on and on. Crime victims don't care. And I have a duty as Attorney General, and these fine folks have a duty in their roles after taking that oath to reduce those numbers. We're going to continue working together, zealously collaborating to bring those numbers down. And I could not be more grateful to be here as your Attorney General and work with these fine leaders in the community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, General. We really appreciate your commitment, continued commitment to our city here in Louisville. We're proud to be a part of this partnership, and we look forward to continuing to work with you and your great team in this way and hopefully many other ways as well. As you heard from Attorney General Coleman, another key partner in all of this is the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. And we are so fortunate to have an outstanding partner, an outstanding leader, who is our Commonwealth Attorney here in Jefferson County, who is doing an outstanding job and is firmly committed to reducing the amount of gun violence through her office in many different ways. And so please join me in welcoming Jefferson County Commonwealth Attorney Gerina Weathers.
Well, good morning. This is definitely an important day for all of us. And at our office, we're not afraid to shake some things up and make bold moves to keep our community safe. We can't do that without the people behind us, especially with our highest elected official here in the city, Governor Greenberg. Mayor Greenberg. Brought you up there. That's all right. Right. Mayor Greenberg, and of course, Attorney General Coleman, and our top cop, Chief Paul Humphrey. So our prosecutions, though, of felony criminals is just one part of the picture of public safety. We can't fight for justice alone. It's going to take each and every one of us. You see the people behind us, but it's also going to take our community. Listen, everyone, we've got to do things differently. 2024 is a very, very serious moment in what's going on in our community. And we are committed to do what we need to do to make sure that everyone sitting here and outside our community, they are safe. This is why we're delighted to share more on this announcement of this bold new partnership with Attorney General Coleman. We're ready now to tell our community about the fruits of the cooperative efforts Attorney General Coleman and I have been working towards. A new agreement that allows his office to help our caseload, as you've heard, take on additional prosecutorial responsibilities here in Jefferson County. As you have heard, Attorney General Coleman will have a satellite office, not exactly in our office, but right downstairs, where we can also work together at any time, at any place. They will have special prosecutors that you've just heard on selected cases. We're very, very fortunate to have these two gentlemen that are with us. And they're coming from our office, and they're also coming from my old boss in our office, Mike O'Connell. This frees us up to take even deeper dives into the major crimes that are affecting all of us. There are two prosecutors, one of whom came directly from our office, that understands exactly what we're dealing with, especially with our youth. I'm very, very excited, and I'm humbled to be here with you today to take a turn, to take a pivot. So we're allowing us to enhance our own prosecution efforts, bringing the resources of the Attorney General's office closer to home, and letting our offices go after criminals in a way that maximizes our scarce resources. This is very exciting to me because I'm sure you have not seen a bald African-American Commonwealth attorney in Jefferson County. But it's different. Things are different now. We have got to embrace new things as we move forward, to try to make sure that we take our jobs seriously, but we take you seriously. We take our community seriously. And that is why we have come together. I just came here in mid-2023. And since his election this year, Attorney General Coleman and I have been in deep discussion about how to tackle this problem. But what I appreciate is when General Coleman called me, I listened, I was open. But I'll be very honest with you, we hadn't worked together. I didn't know him. I didn't know what direction he was coming from. But I am here to share with you right now. We may have different ways of how we see things in other areas, but he is serious and committed about making sure that we do the job that we need to do. And that's what we need. With my other colleagues, the other 54 Commonwealth attorneys' offices that are doing, and he has stepped in the place to do what he needs to do. He's been authentic. And that's all we can ask of. And he is serious. And as you know his background. That's the bigger part for me. Through law enforcement, understanding prosecution, understanding we have to step over different lines to pivot, to make things different. And I thank you for that. I thank you. From street racing cars to break-ins, intimate partner violence, and gang shootouts, our city needs us. And we see these issues firsthand. The solutions are not about politics. Attorney General Coleman and our mayor and I are focused on the problems, not just partisanship. Then we have a new chief that we have to support and make sure that he is able to do what I know that he's already been able to do already. We're interested in working together for one common goal, a better place for us all to live. This new effort for us lets us stop talking and start solving. We certainly, though, wouldn't be here today without the expertise and dedication. He's another one that does not like to be in front of the camera, but I'm going to do it anyway. First Assistant-elect Alex Daythorne. He has been an absolute blessing in our office. A lot of you all know him. He is considered one of the best people that I've ever met and he understands the background on both sides, prosecution and defense work. Between him and Assistant Elizabeth Jones Brown, and Rewa, and others, their efforts to build this agreement with the Attorney General's office and his team has been a cooperative engagement with us to create a new day when it comes to going after bad actors. Here in Jefferson County, in our office within the Office of Commonwealth Attorneys, ladies and gentlemen, we have 44 prosecutors. Then we have others, of course. We have our bold and beautiful victim advocates. We have our paralegals. We have externs. And our staff, we have 44 prosecutors, over 4,900 open cases. This is what we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen, but we're not afraid. We'll do what we need to do. So we've retooled and we've recreated with the assistance of those behind us. We have 80 are handled. We have of those 80 are handled in our new and retooled fatal accident support team, which is FAST, which looks into cases that merit felony prosecution when it comes to people in the vehicle-related deaths. And of those 80, 56 of them started just a year ago. And we're working into them day in and day out. And we are our office that we want to make sure that we need to do the needs to make sure that we meet the needs for you. They too know the need, our prosecutors, of looking forward to this partnership. Just the same, we are all now the community that we understand that the community wants answers. We get that. But that's why we're here. We could be anywhere else. I'll share with you that. But we are here to make sure that we can make the change. The impact of each and every one in these cases has on the lives of those in our community isn't just something that we see in the courtroom. We work at getting justice for victims every day because the work is too important. So the obvious solution, ladies and gentlemen, is for people to stop committing crimes. But in the absence of that, however, we need to reassess our efforts, reassess our methods, reassess our resources. And that is why the partnership is so very important. Our office is not interested in business as usual. Over the last year, we have reorganized teams and brought in new faces. And again, we're not afraid to do trials. We've been an ardent supporter of GVI Task Force. I was lucky enough that when I first got here, we were able to meet. We have a task force inside our office. I attend all the meetings, but I've also talked with those members that have been wreaking havoc in our community. So we cannot do this without our partners, our law enforcement partners, and our partners in Kimberly and in Goodwill Services. So there's a way to embrace and make sure that we do what we need to do for those who want a different angle. But what I appreciate about Attorney General Coleman and about Chief is that we have to have the law enforcement side. I am a mama. I was raised here. I raised a daughter here, and I want something better for our children and for those to come. So we have done this with the county attorney's office, who is it's not a partnership. We are a symbiotic, whether we like it or not, and we get along very well, but we don't agree on everything. But we can't do this without his office. That's where the juvenile courts are. So Scooter has been wonderful. Aaron White in the over the criminal section of the county attorneys has been wonderful. So this, however, is not just about us and the AG. Before he became the city's new top cop, a long time ago, he may not even remember this, so I'm going to share with you all about Chief Humphrey. It was back when I was a young, new prosecutor. What I remember most about him is his commitment to being in court, because I dealt a lot with domestic violence cases. He was the one that came in, and you'll see that he doesn't do a whole lot of smiling, and that's okay. But what I could do is I could depend on him for being there in court when I needed him, to be there for the cases, to be there for the probable cause hearings. He never once wavered from that. I remember his availability to just testify, not just on the policing side, but also on the prosecutorial side, because he sees how the court processes work firsthand and had a direct role himself in helping us put away those that we need to do in prison. And he was unapologetic. So I'm grateful for his support on this new legal effort and his working with the AG's office along with ours, and only a natural progression of him as he dedicates to his own team. So thank you for standing with us, and thank you for standing with us now. So I'll close by saying, focusing on what we get done and finding new ways to do it is how we have to do this. We can ensure that more and more of our children and families are able to live in Louisville safely and happily. We are not just providing meaningful, actionable, and committed solutions for our city with this joint effort. We are also collaboratively providing hope. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to Commonwealth Attorney Weathers, and you can see what great leaders we have that are leading these two offices, and we're fortunate to have other great leaders. This is Louisville, this is Jefferson County, this is Kentucky, so nothing is simple or clear. We have two, as you heard from Commonwealth Attorney Weathers, we have two offices here in our community that do different but symbiotic, as she said, things. And we also are fortunate to have a county attorney in our community that is committed equally, like you've heard from Attorney General Coleman and Commonwealth Attorney Weathers, to the effort to reduce the amount of violent crime in our community and to hold people accountable. So it's my privilege to introduce our county attorney, Mike O'Connell.
Thank you, Mayor, and always a pleasure to have you, AG Coleman, in the chairs and talking to us. And of course, Gerina, you heard a real good description and all the help we need here from David Nicholson's office and others to accomplish these things. What I want to get out of the way first is one of the new prosecutors that's working for the Attorney General right now, Hamad Khan, was poached from my office. So clearly we are contributing to this effort. And Mr. Cunningham sitting next to him there, he cut his teeth in the county attorney's office. So don't say we haven't done something already, Attorney General Coleman. All kidding aside, you see here a unified front of prosecutors, law enforcement, and other elected officials of the political persuasions working to thwart violent crime in Louisville. Each of us has our role in the system, and we're each committed to doing our part to making our community a safer and stronger place to live with your families and children. I'm going to deviate from, I'm going to make one of my staff members over there hold his breath because I'm going to deviate a little bit from what's in front of me, which I do every now and then. But Russell, Attorney General, he's Russell Coleman to me, but Attorney General Coleman, you all need to know how instrumental he was in bringing the acronym GVI to this community, which stands, when he first came, what happened, I was sitting in my office one day at my desk, and my secretary came back and said, Mike, the United States Attorney is out front in the office, Russell Coleman. And I was like, holy mother of God, you know. So, and we really hadn't met too much at that time. But so Russell, U.S. Attorney, then U.S. Attorney Russell Coleman came back to see me, and he was carrying a book. And I think the title was Don't Shoot or these type of things. And it was about that thick. It was authored by a gentleman named David Kennedy from the John Jay School or Institute. And it dealt with guns and group violence specifically on how to try to reduce that. So he is the one that started that in this community. And it's been going on for several years. It is, the meetings are informative. They're sometimes fractious, but the people that are in the room, they're focused on gun violence and group violence. And many of you in here don't know how many young men under 18 years of age are in gangs in this town. And we have good help from the Chief Humphrey's great police department on there. So a lot of work is going on behind the scenes. And, you know, I'm a veteran, and I have two sons that were veterans. And I tell people that I shot everything there was to shoot that wasn't dropped from a plane or shot from a vessel. And both my sons are veterans, as I said. Our youngest son, Matt, was in the 82nd Airborne. He served in Afghanistan. But, and people in this room know how I feel about guns. You know, the Second Amendment ain't going anywhere. We all know that. But, and I'm not going to stand up here and pontificate, but I would if you gave me the opportunity about it. But the best definition, the best statement I've heard, and it applies to what we're doing now and what these guys over here are going to try to do. The best statement I ever heard about gun violence and the definition of what it is in this country is this. Americans, the spreading of bloodshed among Americans who are going about their daily lives. Okay? Bloodshed on Americans who are going about their daily lives. And I recently read the book Sandy Hook. And if anybody, you all want a sober reading about guns and violence, and we all know that name of that school, where I think 22 first and second graders were slaughtered, along with 6 faculty members at the time. And there were those that wanted to say that was a fake, that were denying that that happened. But the point is, bloodshed, families, people that are killed, torn apart, et cetera, et cetera. And we're going to do everything we can to help General Coleman and Ahmad and Crit and with Gerina's office to try and end this, or that's too much of a stretch, Mike, to try and help reduce this as far down as we possibly can. And I'm honored to work with everybody here and look forward to it down the road. So thank you.
Thank you so much. We also have another elected official with us here today whose office and whose leadership is critically important to the administration of justice in our community, to ensuring that our judicial branch operates appropriately and that we are able, through the judicial branch, to hold individuals accountable that are taken that far from either LMPD or the prosecutors that we have in front of us. So to tell a little bit more, and you heard also a landlord as well in this situation. So to hear a little bit more, please welcome my good friend, our outstanding Jefferson County Circuit Court Clerk, David Nicholson.
Well, I'm glad to be a landlord. Let me tell you, you have some of the brightest and most sharpest legal minds. Previous to becoming your circuit court clerk, I ran the Criminal Justice Commission, and we have their executive director here, Faith Augustine. But it was about collaboration. And General Coleman, you've given me a new word, and I love it, zealous collaboration. That's what it's going to take. From day one, actually day after election, when they were elected, your Mayor Greenberg instantly reached out, as he has done from that day after his initial election as mayor. He listens. He listens. Our new police chief could not have been a better opportunity and selection, because he knows every square inch of Louisville, Jefferson County. He knows what certain subdivisions, certain communities, what their traditions, backgrounds. That's critically important. If you're going to have zealous collaboration and look at new programs, embrace new programs, and these partnerships, it's so very important. And the first time I met General Coleman was right across the street, walking down the street, no idea who he was, and he stopped me and paid a compliment. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. He was the U.S. attorney, And, when feds stop you, you should get a little heartbeat. But I appreciated that. And from that day forward, GVI reached out as they were forming, and we came together. It takes a team. And my career in the criminal justice arena has always been about coordination and collaboration. And I'm proud that we could, and I apologize, counselors, the best currently is they literally have taken a closet from the Criminal Justice Commission and an area from the Office of Circuit Court Clerk, and they made a beautiful office. I would encourage you to go over to 514 West Liberty Street and see their offices and what they did literally with the closet. But no, I'm proud to stand here and pledge on behalf of the 276 deputy circuit court clerks here in Jefferson County. We are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days, and we will ensure my constitutional duty, the custodian of all court records, that they are accurate, they're accessible, and that we will be there, not only for prosecution, not only for our police department, but certainly the victims that have to experience. And I think we lose sight of one thing that was mentioned this morning, is the non-fatal. As the general went through, that wheelchair, that coloscopy. So let's not lose sight of the devastation. I'm excited about this opportunity and pledge my commitment to all the elected officials and the victims that are here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. We really appreciate that. And as David just alluded to, we're talking a lot about today about statistics, about numbers. You've heard Attorney General Coleman mention names of victims. Gun violence is impacting so many people. Those who are targeted directly, as well as their family, their friends, their loved ones, their communities, their neighbors. The mental and physical trauma that gun violence creates in Louisville, around our Commonwealth and country, cannot be measured in numbers. And so it's important that we hear from people who know the impact that gun violence has, that we hear from them over and over again to continue to remind our community why this is our top priority. My friend Krista Gwynn lost her 19-year-old son, Christian, to an act of violence in 2019. And then just 2 short years later, her daughter, Victoria, was wounded in a shooting that killed one of Victoria's friends. Krista and her family have suffered through the pain, the trauma that gun violence creates for so many people. Please join me in welcoming my friend and our great community leader, Krista Gwynn.
Good morning. I'm Krista Gwynn. I stand here with my husband, Nevada. I don't have a title. I'm a mom. And a damn good one. Because I stand here for my son, and I stand here for my daughter. My son's murder will not go in vain. My daughter wounding will not go in vain. My daughter was 19 when she was shot and wounded. My daughter now lives with a rod in her leg from her hip to her knee. So us in our 50s and up, when we say, oh, it's about to rain, we feel it. My daughter's 22. She feels it all the time, every time. It's cold outside. It hurts her to get up. It hurts her to sit down. It hurts her to walk. She's limited to the job she can do to sustain her income because her leg hurts. Because someone chose to come to Ballard Park and shoot up the park. Over 200 rounds hit that ground that day. I'm lucky my daughter walked away, but her friend didn't. And we need justice for that. I'm here. I'm not an AG. I'm not a deputy chief. I'm not a mayor. I'm a mom. I'm the community. And I stand with Russell. I stand with David. I stand with Greenberg. I have yet to meet Chief Humphrey, but I stand and support him because they are here to protect my future of my children. I still have children that's living, that need to live, to grow, to have family of their own. These people swore to me that they was going to protect my community, and I believed them wholeheartedly. I knew Russell before he was AG. He came to my daughter's hospital bed when she was shot and wounded. He did. He didn't send his secretary. He didn't send nobody. He walked in and he said, I'm here for you if you and whenever you need me. I can pick up that phone tomorrow and say, good morning, Mr. Coleman, can I talk to you? He may say, give me a minute, I'm in a meeting, but he'll call me back. I do the same thing with David. Mr. Nicholson, can I talk to you? Give me a second. But he calls me back. This is the people we want to protect our community, and I stand with them. I'm a mother who's not afraid to fight for my children, your children, his children. Just because they don't live in my neighborhood don't mean that they don't feel the same pain I feel. I'm not a Louisville. I wasn't born and raised here, but I raised my children here. And I demand my children to be protected by all means, and these men and women standing behind me are going to do that. So I come as a community leader. I don't have a title like I said before, but I come because I'm the community. I'm the face that they see every day when they want to serve somebody and protect somebody. I'm that face, and I'm proud to be this face for them. I hate that I met them the way I met them, but I'm proud that I know them. I give anything to not know nobody in this room if I can have my son back, but it can't happen. So I'm proud that I'm in this room with these people that are going to change the way things are going on in Louisville, because we're losing too many and too many are being wounded. Just because they living, because that bullet didn't kill them, don't mean they living, because they hurting. That day, a part of them died that day they were shot and wounded. And I live with that. I know that because my daughter's like that. Her life died that day. My daughter's 22, and she should be out there enjoying the world. Instead, she's in pain. She missed her brother. She missed her friend. She missed the life she was 19 the day before, June the 6th, June the 7th of 2021. June the 6th will never come back to her again when she was happy and go lucky. June the 7th will live on in her life for the rest of her life. So I'm here to support them. I do anything for them, and they know that. And they'll do anything for me. So support, show up, show out, and speak up. When you see something, say something, because your child could be the next child laying in the casket. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Krista, for sharing your short story, a story that is far too common in our city, and a story that we need to continue to tell over and over again as all of us here and around the community to continue to do this important work. And finally today, I want to introduce someone who you've heard a lot about today and over the previous weeks, but someone who is leading the fine men and women of LMPD that are working hard 24/7, 365 days a year to prevent violent crime from happening. And when it does, that are working to hold those accountable, to turn those individuals over to our colleagues who are prosecuting crimes, and ultimately to the judicial system as well. So it is my honor to introduce our Chief of Louisville Metro Police Department, Paul Humphrey.
Thank you. The men and women of LMPD, civilian, sworn, every rank, were the ones that are showing up to that shooting scene, that homicide scene, day in and day out. We're the shoulders that moms cry on. We're the arms that they fall into when we give them the bad news. We will do whatever it takes to make sure that she never has to cry again. Chris matters. We will run through any wall. We will jump any mountain. We will lock up anybody we have to. We will get them to whatever resource we have to make sure that that stops happening the rate that it's happening. It's easy to get up here and say thanks to the Attorney General. He recognizes the importance of Louisville. That is something the state has not always done. He is taking a step to make sure that Chris's legacy, that Chris's mom, is never forgotten about. We will do whatever it takes. There is I'm going to get a little academic here, because I'm going off script now. There's a crime triangle, right, that we talk about inserting ourselves in. There's opportunity, there's a victim, and there's a suspect. We have to interrupt that crime triangle in some way. I would love to change opportunity. Sometimes opportunity is chance encounters between two people who have a conflict. There's not much we can do about those generally. But I would love for the GVI program to reach out to people who we know are potential victims and potential suspects and to change the opportunity for their lives to be better. But I can tell you this, when they don't take advantage of a change in their opportunity, the men and women of LMPD will look for them day and night and make sure that they are not the next suspect. And we will put them behind bars for as long as it takes until they get the message that this lifestyle is not going to work. Either you change or we will remove you from society because you cannot play by the rules. And we have a responsibility to protect victims. And we are not going to let you be a suspect who kills people. Plain and simple. I would much rather lock up a suspect with a gun and make sure that he's prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and stays in jail for 10 or 15 years and see the tears of his mom knowing that she will get to hug her son again, as opposed to the tears of this woman who never gets to see him again. So that's our promise to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Chief. As I hope everyone here with us today at Metro Hall, everyone around the community can tell, we are serious. We are serious about working in new ways that have never been tried before in this community to reduce the amount of gun violence and to hold those accountable to end this cycle. We will continue to work together in partnership towards those ends. And I want to thank all of the partners who are with me here today, the teams of all of our organizations that are coming together towards this goal to make our community and our Commonwealth safer than it is today. Thank you all very much, and we are all happy to take any questions that the media might have about this new initiative. Stefan.
So this started with General Coleman's, this was your brainchild. How long did it take to get to this point? Did you talk about that?
Yeah, I'm just going to repeat the question just so everyone can hear. The question was, what did it take to get to this point, and how long have we been working on it? General Coleman?
Thank you, Stefan. This started the day after I was elected Attorney General. The transition, through our transition, we found very willing partners on day one. The only limiting factors have been the processes of hiring. We were provided space almost immediately. There are bureaucracies that are present, but look, there is a sense of urgency. I think you saw that from our new chief. If you could bottle that, I think those numbers would diminish very quickly. We have seen a sense of urgency, but I've seen that from the mayor. I've seen that and I didn't mention him, and I hope he affords me some degree of grace. Our county attorney has been enthusiastic on day one, supporting the transition of one of his finest employees to now join the AG's office. There have been very few limiting factors getting this up and running, and it's an important point. This is a beachhead. This is a starting point for our engagement here in the city of Louisville, our engagement with LMPD, with these men and women on my left and my right. This is an initiation. There's much, much more to come in terms of our engagement here.
You've heard 4,900 open cases. What's the caseload that this new office walked into, and when did they start working on those?
We have 75 cases right out of the gate that we're running with, and that's a drop in the barrel. It's not about numbers, and I want to emphasize this. It was important as we established this office. It's important that our assistant attorneys general, both here and in Frankfort, I'm limiting the number of cases they'll be able to carry. If you talk to Ms. Weathers, and I'd like her to step up, and I think the public, would be astounded at the number of cases that the assistant Commonwealth attorneys carry here in Jefferson County. It's extraordinary. the number of cases that detectives are carrying at LMPD. It is extraordinary. I'm limiting the number of cases that these prosecutors will take so that we can get good outcomes. Oftentimes in the process, their pleas have to take place simply because of the sheer volume, the tsunami, if you will, of cases coming into the Commonwealth's attorney. We're able to choose those cases where we can be most impactful, much like the federal system. We're a bit of a hybrid, somewhere between the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office and the United States Attorney's Office. We're going to take those cases where we can get a good outcome. We'll try those. If we have a defendant that the plea is not acceptable to us, is not going to incapacitate that offender, we'll try those cases. We'll take them as far as possible, much like the federal system. So it's not about numbers. It's about outcome. And it's about outcome so that we can have a degree of deterrent. There is not, and I'm going to step aside and let Ms. Weathers step up here, there's not deterrence in Jefferson County at present. There is not deterrence. There is a sense that criminality, that there is not a punishment. There is not a swift and sure punishment to criminality. That's what we're up here to address. That's what we're up here to change. Ms. Weathers?
Thank you, Attorney General. The other part of that is that it's not just about the numbers. So what we will find and what we know is that there are the certain percentage of those cases that we need to start really highlighting and dealing with. It's not that we're going to not take care of the other cases, but a lot of times what we find is those specific cases they're dealing with, especially those who are convicted felons carrying guns, and those types of cases are the ones that precipitate the other cases that we have in our office. So if we start dealing with them and collaborating and dealing with and working with Chief and working with the Attorney General's office, we can start pulling those cases, highlighting them, and take care of them. I mean, we don't have any, and it's okay with us. We don't have, we cannot stop what's coming in our office. But what we can do is start looking at some specific cases and dealing with them specifically in order for us to deal with the rest of the cases and try to keep our community safe. So we're going to have the cases, and I say that all the time, that that's nothing new. I mean, when a lot of us have prosecuted cases, there's always a volume of cases, but the most important part of it is that we pull those specific cases out and start dealing with them accordingly.
Ms. Weathers and Mr. O'Connell, a major concern that we hear from our audience is that these people involved in these kind of crimes are getting locked up, but they're back out on the street on a bond that's not considered too low or cognizant. How will this team specifically address that issue?
The process itself may not change as it comes to arraignments, how they come to how they go into the courtrooms. What we need to focus on is that as an office that we are very, very specific in what we do. We have revocation hearings that we cannot, I'll share with you that we argue, and I think Mike can talk about that. Most of the arraignments will start in district court and the county attorney's office. There are prosecutors that are going to object or ask for a certain bond. But we can only be responsible, and it is. There's sometimes that we want to make sure that our case, that we're doing what we're supposed to do with these cases, and make sure that we follow through again with the new cases. When I say revocation, that there's other cases that we've had before. Now they're back. They've got a new case, and we need to start dealing with those old cases because there's time on the shelf that we can kind of start doing. And those are some things that we're working on as an office. Not that we haven't done it before, but we have to kind of start highlighting what we can do. We're not specifically responsible for letting people out of the streets, but we are responsible in the courtrooms to make sure that we make the necessary collaborative, comprehensive argument. We're all individual prosecutors, but we need to be very, very specific and the same on how we deal with those cases.
Gerina. Chief Humphrey.
So I'll just respond to your question about people getting out on low bonds and being released that we don't think should. It's easy to point fingers. It's easy to say the prosecutor should have done this, the county attorney should have done that, the judge should have done this. But what this collaboration is about is how well we do our jobs. And the feedback between us is going to be critical in making sure that everything that we do from the time that we make an arrest to the time that they go to court and involved with the prosecutors is laid out so that the judge understands exactly what has happened here, exactly the danger that this person poses to the community, and they know that that case is solid and that person needs to stay in jail. So it's not about, for us, pointing fingers. It's about what can we do collaboratively to make sure that we have the most solid cases on the most dangerous people.
What I haven't addressed, and it gets weedy very quickly, but the Attorney General has a superpower, if you will, the office within this system. While we don't have original jurisdiction and we're here at the welcome of the Commonwealth's attorney, the Attorney General does have exclusive authority over all appellate matters. So we are going to ensure that no, there is no breakdown between the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office and the office that's responsible for taking appeals to the Court of Appeals and ultimately the Supreme Court of the Commonwealth if we feel that the court has made decisions that are unlawful. And we want to make sure that line of communication is robust and is present. We in Fayette County have addressed a number of unlawful, as we view, unlawful decisions of the court. We've been very robust in how we address that. We need to ensure that that is present here in Jefferson County, and we want to make sure that there's no disconnect so that we can exercise that authority in a very timely and robust manner.
General Coleman,
Last question.
could you elaborate on what you need to see in a case to get your prosecutor's attention on it? You were saying you're going to be selective about the case, and I'm curious, what does that case have to show you to get your attention?
We're focused on violence. We're focused on the most violent offenders. If you spend time, and I would encourage you, spend time on Chief Humphrey's crime plan. It is focused on a very number, and we know that there are a very small number of very violent offenders. That's what we're focused on. We are focused on the most violent, and we're focused on getting good outcomes. This is not about numbers, despite the fact that we are drowning in criminal matters. It's about outcome, so that we can have deterrence present here. We're going after the most violent offenders. And this will be, the devil is in the details, of course, but the key is that there is open and robust communication between everyone on this stage, behind this podium, and what you'll see is different outcomes so that we can finally have a degree of deterrence here.
Last question, then we've got to wrap it up.
I think you've seen it described here. The focus is on supporting group violence intervention, GVI. The focus is on felon in possessions, particularly most violent offenders, the trigger pullers. And then, of course, there is latitude to deviate from that as needed. It is an arrangement that's memorialized on paper. But if we have to resort to the MOU, as with any MOU between agencies or between individuals, if you've got to look at line 3, paragraph 4, you've got a problem with the relationship. And so this is an initial memorializing of the collaboration, but it is much like the initial hires here in our violent crime reduction team. It is a beachhead. It is a start. We'll be building out from there.
Thank you all very much.